If God loves us, then why would an atheist go to hell for eternity even though they are a morally perfect person? This obviously sounds messed up and senseless. This is why people feel the need to cover it up. People think they answer this by saying, you choose going to hell yourself by not believing, and God respects your decision not to be with Him, and not believing is just separation from God. But actually, this doesn't answer anything because the free will we have here, with the free will we have here, we are not choosing to go to hell. We are choosing not to believe. If not believing equals choosing not to be with God, that must be in the way we don't understand. Because how does not believing equal to that? Or who made the rules of who goes to hell? Of course, God makes the rules. God determined that not believing equals going to hell. And as an answer, we will hear the same excuse we always hear. In God's nature, this is what is justified. But we can't understand this with our limited minds. This is the point. You could say this kind of thing at the beginning. There's no difference between God sending a good person to hell, or deciding the rules so that person would end up in hell. So you don't actually change anything. It is still equally irrational from our perspective, of course. The thing that bothers us to make up that excuse at the beginning is still here. God deciding the rules so you end up in hell sounds just as messed up, right? And you will always appeal to same kind of mystery to cover it up. And you will never be able to fully rationalize the contradictions in God's definition. I want to give an analogy about how ridiculous this excuse is. Think about you have a baby, okay, just a 1 year old baby. You play a choosing game with her. You put your two fists in front of her and she will choose one. If she chooses the left hand, you will give her a candy. But if she chooses your right hand, you will punch her in the face. She just chooses one, then boom. But I guess it cannot be your fault because she had a choice. She didn't actually know what was the consequence, but still she was free to choose the other one and she didn't. According to the theist defense, it cannot be your fault. Also, what is this God respects free will bullshit? Why does he value free will? I always hear people assume this nonsense casually. Everyone thinks this is some default obvious thing. It is actually ridiculous. For a deity who knows everything and created everything, free will is just meaningless. In a completely deterministic system, you cannot talk about free will. Free will requires some genuine uncertainty, some possibility for someone to choose otherwise. People say things like God knows what you're gonna choose but still lets you. Like you know exactly what someone is going to choose, but you don't get involved in their decisions. But this is fallacious. When you are certain that someone will choose something and there is absolutely no possibility for them to choose otherwise, then they are not free in that decision from your perspective. From your perspective, it is just watching a deterministic process unfold. they may be free in their rest of their lives and decisions. And this is the confusion, because you are actually practically certain. You don't know this in an absolute, infallible way, epistemologically infallible. That letting someone to choose something, actually implies the possibility for someone to choose other than the thing you foreknow. So when you know that there is absolutely no possibility for them to choose otherwise, then the free will vanishes. The notion that letting them to choose becomes meaningless. It is like saying, let's add one more edge to a triangle for a moment. Just because you can suggest this kind of thing in an abstract way doesn't mean it is actually possible. In reality, you took all the characteristics of a triangle, so it is no longer a triangle. It is the same with free will. So from God's perspective, there is no such thing as free will. Because from God's perspective, there is no genuine possibility for you to do otherwise. The moment you try to think a will that is different than a mere process, you will notice that you're adding some possibility for that will to choose something different than what you foreknow. You can never have it both ways. This is why saying God can know what our every decision but still let us is fallacious. It is like you wrote a computer program and then you're expecting it to give the output it programmed to give. And it is actually this obvious and easy to see every weakness and flaws of religious arguments. No amount of patchwork or wordplay will ever be able to cover up for the contradictions in religions. I don't think truth should need this much patchwork to keep up with the humanity. And with this, we've come to the end of our first episode. It's a little shorter than what's to come, but I hope you enjoyed it. This is Unholy Seer. See you in the next episode.